Welcome, everybody, to episode 55 of UnHacked. We are cybersecurity made simple for small business owners. I'm your host, Justin Shelley, and I am joined, as always, by my good friends, Bryan Lachapelle.
Hey.
And Mario Zaki.
What's up, everyone?
Every week, we cut through the noise, bust the myths, and help you protect your empire. And guys, if you're not building an empire, you're doing it wrong. Today, we have a special guest. We are joined by Mike Ritsema, founder and president of i3 Business Solutions. Mike, I guess you've got extensive experience, so it says, guiding companies through cybersecurity breaches. Hopefully those are not active clients.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Our clients are perfectly protected.
Because we're here to tell people how to avoid this stuff. So, but you know what? That's the reality is when it happens, we have to know what to do. So love that we're going to get to break down some practical steps on both how to prevent and then what happens when you find yourself at ground zero. So Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Justin.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yeah, I think experience. Yes, I've been in technology for decades. Started with IBM and ERP and DRP software side. And in the Great Recession in 2007, we rotated hard to manage technology services and built essentially a cybersecurity practice, right? So today we're managing somewhere around 4,500 endpoints, over 125 clients, and helping them improve productivity, AI, automation, the new thing, and then certainly risk management, cybersecurity on the technology side. And that's what we do here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. i3 Business Solutions. You
do, in fact, help them build their empire.
Yes,
I'm very glad to hear that. Very glad to hear that. All right, Mike. So you've got the inside scoop, and this is what I absolutely love to be able to break down because we're going to talk about the very thing we try to avoid, to protect against. Yeah. And I've never heard anybody say, "Hey, we were breached. We had a ransomware attack, and it was a good time." Yes. Tell me what your experience is here.
Well, imagine you're sitting at Qdoba on a Friday night, and it was 6 p.m. with my wife, and the phone rang, and I looked at the name and I answered it, and it was a major accounting firm and an acquaintance who said, "Do you guys do incident response? Do you handle breaches, hacks?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, yes, we do." And 3 hours later on a Friday night, I was sitting with a number of my techs and team in the conference room of a 300-employee company that had been 100% encrypted across all their servers, and they were out of business.
Oh.
I will tell you that over the weekend when we helped them recover and we just all hands on deck, was very emotional for me, very emotional as a business owner responsible for so many families, so many lives, to see the owner of this company, who I know, because ironically, I worked at the company decades prior.
Oh, really?
And wow. That's, an irony. To see that owner, who's older than me, pacing the hallways, wondering if his whole business is collapsing around him. I'm getting emotional right now because it's such a powerful situation to observe and be in. It's really tough.
So out of curiosity, Mike, what was the long-term reputational damage that they experienced, if any, at all?
I think they found their way through it. I mean, we helped them recover by Monday morning, and they were back on the road delivering product. So they were, to my knowledge, and I can't say that I did a full breakdown on loss of revenue or loss of clients, but they were back on the road by Monday morning. This happened on a Friday night, which is when the bad actors hit, right?
Yep.
So I'm not sure how bad the reputational damage was, Brian.
Okay.
What did you have in place to help you recover so quickly?
Well, we have access to resources, so absolutely, we have consultants we work with, And then also, we have a tech team that's pretty substantial. So we brought in outside consultants and our own tech team and just got to work on it.
So they had like backups and stuff
Yeah.
like that you were able to
Pretty
restore from?
ironic. We've helped 3 companies in the last 5 years recover, and backup is always interesting. And in this case, get this, guys, they were backing up to tape and carrying it across the street.
How
They
long
had
ago was this?
literal tape.
This is like 30 years ago?
5 years ago.
What?
Oh no.
What?
I'm
Oh my
telling
God.
you, was it air gapped? Yes, it
Sure,
was.
yeah.
Could the bad guys from China or Russia get to it? No, they couldn't.
Did the tapes work?
I'm surprised they could get to it.
Exactly. Pray to God, whatever you believe in, that those tapes were actually working.
The tapes worked. Here was the biggest challenge. I mean, if you've got a business of any substance that has integration and complexity from multiple systems, and they did on premise, right? Everything from shop floor, warehouse, EDI, etc. And they had a lot of customization over the years. So some of it, well, they had various types of backup, but when you restored, you had to knit it all together. And they had code and passwords and logins that they couldn't find. They just couldn't find. They didn't have it documented. So making things work together was as big a part of the challenge as anything.
So, out of curiosity, what was the financial impact? Like, how much did it cost them to recover from this incident? Just the initial phase, like maybe your portion of it, or the initial portion.
Well, the first thing you do is call your attorney. The second thing you do is call your insurance company.
Yep.
The third thing you do is call the FBI or the police.
Right.
And so I don't know what the legal costs were, and I don't remember if they had cybersecurity insurance. But our bill was somewhere around $250,000 to $500,000.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's a nice weekend for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
At first, I felt bad that you lost your weekend. Now I'm like, I'll do that.
Now, ironically, my big message in cybersecurity is, number one, back up your stuff. I mean, just make sure you have an air-gapped offline backup that nobody can get to. And recently, we helped a company recover, and they had a great backup system in place, Veeam, backing up all their servers and going to the cloud, going to Wasabi in the cloud. But somehow the bad actors found, I don't know how they found the login, but they found the login to Wasabi. They changed the email address to like an AOL or some crazy email address, deleted the email and the backup, and they couldn't get to it. They couldn't get into it. This one, similarly, talking to the owners is just, the amount of responsibility I feel to help. And the owner said, can you call Wasabi and see if they can get it back? So I did, tracked down Wasabi, got to the tech and the rep and said, we know that on a cell phone, the FBI can get your cell phone, reverse the digits, and find the data, right? You think it's deleted. No,
Right.
We can reverse the bits and bytes. We can get it back. But not when you put it in Azure or Google or Wasabi, Amazon Cloud. If I'm Wasabi and you have HIPAA data, you have PII, PCI information, and you delete it, you don't say, well, we deleted it, but we can get it back for you. No, it is gone forever. And that was the answer. It is gone forever. Your backup is gone. And theirs was 100% gone. Every backup gone.
How did they recover from this one?
This is so ironic that it was a day or 3 into the recovery that the IT manager said, I think I've got a backup in the closet on a terabyte drive.
What?
And he did.
No way.
He had a 2-year-old backup for parts of the business because there were 6 divisions and multiple locations. So in that respect, he had one. A software vendor that did an upgrade to their software actually had a backup. that they had done in the cloud before they did a revision. So they got bits and pieces of it back, but other than that, just start pounding in names and starting over.
Wow. They survived, I take it? Because not everybody does.
They did survive.
Okay.
They found their way back. You know, ironically, in this situation, a manufacturer type situation, shop floor production went on. They just lost all order information, financial information, and so on. So they were able to find their way through it.
Crazy stuff. So listen, I like being able to talk about these, but mostly I want to know how to never get here. Right. We want to never, ever, ever be here. And one of the things that drives me batshit crazy is when I'm talking to a prospect or just a business owner, maybe they're not even a prospect yet. And I'm like, hey, can we do an assessment? Can we help you out? Put another set of eyes on your security setup. And the most common answer is pop quiz, guys. What's the most common answer?
Oh, we're fine.
Good.
We're covered. Our IT guys got that handled.
Yeah.
And I love to follow that up with, how do you know? And I've never had anybody give me a good answer to that. And so, Mike, I'm going to ask you, how do you know?
How do you know that your cybersecurity is up to date? You do an assessment. I run a pretty substantial technology company, and we bring in other firms to assess our own technology and find a hole. Please find something, and we'll patch it up. I mean, we implement we use the NIST framework implemented through CIS version 8. These frameworks actually have 18 controls, 18 areas that we want to manage to.
I was going to say a control is like a subject, like a chapter, not like a bullet point, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Areas, you know, the human firewall being one, educate your team. Inventory, if you don't know what you have, how can you even protect it? So 18 areas we look at, 153 safeguards.
There we go.
So Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner, have you hit all 153? Or do you even know what the top 10 are? Does your IT manager or the person that handles it, do they know what all 153 are, or a way to where to start? That's why we do assessments.
Right. And yeah, you have to have some sort of a framework to work from. There was Bryan and Mario, you guys remember this story, the guy I found on Reddit who had been in business for, I don't remember, 25, 30 years. And a prospect asked him, like, you know, what are these industry best practices you guys speak of? So he gets on Reddit and he's like, it made me think, what is it that we believe in? So I went to my RMM to find out. Now, guys, the average business owner doesn't know what an RMM is, but tell me this. Is that where you go to find out what your cybersecurity controls are?
Nah.
No.
Okay, so when business owner, you tell me, you look me square in the eye and you say, my guy's got it covered, you better be checking up on him. So,
yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you asked them, like, okay, where's the last backup report that he sent you? How do you know your shit is backed up? And they're like, oh no, he's never sent us that. And then you see them writing it down, like, oh, you know, ask for a backup report. You know, like that's exactly what we're talking about. How do you know?
Well, Mario, we've helped 3 companies of substance, 300 employees, 150 employees, 500 employees recover, all with an IT manager. And I think the value of our firms is that we have moved from people excellence to, I call it checklist process excellence.
Yeah,
process
100%.
excellence. And in every situation, and I think some of our best techs, right, can just figure stuff out. And they love it, right? Give me a challenge, I'll figure it out, we'll fix the problem. That's what we do. And that's what great techs in 1 and 2 man tech companies do, is they can figure stuff out, make it work. But in every situation, I mean, the firewall was virtually wide open. No control set whatsoever. Backup mistakes across the board. And I tell business owners, your tech person, your one-man band, your on staff or yeah, we got a guy, is great at fixing stuff, but they're usually not good at that checklist. You know,
Right.
whether it's 15 items every day or every week or 153, it's just not their thing. It is our thing.
So
Yeah.
let's do this, because I mean, I'm putting on my business owner hat, and I've got everything under the sun that I'm responsible for. And Mike, you just told me that there's 175 million things that I've got to look at where cybersecurity is concerned. And I'll tell you what I do in that case. I go on overload and I say, fuck it, I'm not doing anything. So let's go. And I know we do this a lot, so there's some repeat. But if I'm a business owner and you guys are consulting me, give me your number one thing that I need to go do right now today. And I'm just going to kind of go around the room. Mario, we'll start with you. I'm sorry, Bryan, I want to start with you, and then Mario, and then Mike, tell me yours. So Bryan, go ahead.
Okay, so there's quite a lot of them, but my favorite one is just cybersecurity awareness training. Getting started by teaching the people what to look out for and what not to. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. I could put locks on the doors, bars on the windows, security guards at every entrance. But if somebody goes and props open the back door, or with a brick, and the criminals can come right in. So what people don't know can hurt you, and so we just gotta keep it top of mind all the time.
Right.
And I prefer to do it in small little nuggets, because that way it's always something that they're thinking about, and more importantly, testing them on it, right? To make sure that they are paying attention. You let them know, hey, we're going to be attempting to fool you, whether it's by calling in and trying to trick you into giving me information you shouldn't, or by sending you an email. And trying to trick you into clicking in or providing information you shouldn't. And if you fall for it, I won't yell at you, but I'm going to make you take the training again.
Right.
And by them knowing I'm looking to trick them, they're going to be even more hyper aware and be on the lookout for my attempt to fool them. And when they're looking out and trying to pay attention to my thing, they're also catching everybody else's. So that's my favorite cybersecurity awareness training. But more importantly, just get started.
Yeah. For audio only listeners, we're all sitting here nodding our head like, yes. Start there. Mario, what's your number one? Or if Bryan stole yours, what's your number two?
Well, prior to us recording, we kind of drew like straws, and Bryan stole mine, then Mike stole mine. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta make up something here. So my third, which is Mike is gonna mention the second one. My third is, just putting in some like 2FA, some sort of security in place. For all important stuff, banking, email, if you're whatever program you're using, if you set up 2FA, you've moved up a notch, because that is simple. Because usually hackers they need three things: email address, password, and like the domain. And the domain is easy to find. Your email address is easy to find. The password, it could be figured out. Dark web, it can be brute force. There's so many different ways that they can get in there. By having two-factor in place, it just makes it a lot harder. It's not bulletproof, but it makes it a lot harder to get past that. So, obviously, awareness is very important. What I also would add is having, two-factor authentication, because that is also something you don't necessarily need an IT professional to do for you.
True.
Everybody has the ability to set up 2FA. As much as it's annoying, and we talk to people all the time, like, I don't want to keep having to enter a code every time I go into this website or log into my computer or do whatever, but just like Mike mentioned earlier, like being attacked is a lot more inconvenient than entering a 6-digit number once or twice a day.
I mean, I don't want to call you out too much, but I can't tell you how many end users I've had to help set up 2FA because they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
So I would replace that with "you should be able to," and then for my techs who complain about clients who should be able to do it on their own, I would just say, "This is why you've got a job." So listen, I only point this out because most things in security are not a do-it-yourself feature. Start there, do what you can, but if you are the least bit confused, get some help. Don't rely on a Google search to figure this out. All right, Mike, what do you got for us?
Yeah, number one, I'm saying amen to the human firewall. One of the biggest vulnerabilities, Bryan, the human firewall, you, me. And then secondly, two-factor authentication is going to two-person authentication. There are now systems. Wasabi can now require, if you want to delete your backups, you need two different email addresses, two different people to log in.
Nice.
In order to delete. So, and more in business, certainly I imagine your business, if you're going to change a routing number in finance and you get an email from somebody, hey, change my banking and routing number, we require two-person authentication at I3. So two-factor authentication, two-person authentication, yeah. Okay, mine is backup. Look, I don't know. I think you guys remember I'm holding a cell phone up here, and I don't know, 3 to 6 years ago, you'd have a friend say, oh, crap, I lost my cell phone and 3 years of pictures are gone.
Everything's
I'm
gone,
like,
yeah.
Those days, I think they're gone because everybody's backing up to the Apple Cloud or the Google Cloud, so I think it's almost impossible to do that nowadays. But criminy, back up your stuff. I've been using Quicken personally for 20 plus years, and I'm holding up a USB drive now. This is my backup, and it's sitting in the drawer right next to me here, and I back it up once a week. It is offline and air gap. So I'm saying if I lost my laptop, it's like, crap, 20 years of Quicken gone. And the answer is no, I've got this. I got the backup right in my drawer. So I'm imploring every business owner, backup, what are your top 3 to 5 business systems? And usually emails on that list. And how is it backed up? Confirm that it's backed up. And I think, like Mario said, find the backup report. Somebody give me a report proving that it's backed up.
Listen, Mike, I'm going to stop you right there, and I'm just going to tell. I don't want to brag, but all my shit's in the cloud. I don't need to back it up.
Well, let's make sure. Like I said earlier, let's make sure it's air gapped. That is, the login to that backup best be a different login and password and fully protected so that nobody can get to it. We know the threat actors, the first thing they do is delete the backup. If they can get to the backup, they'll delete it. By the way, we had a client a title company, not a client, I was called in, and 200 title companies across the United States in the cloud. The threat actors got in, wiped out the whole backup, sent the ransomware, they didn't pay it. This title company had closings in process, documents in the cloud, names, information, all gone. They had to start over from scratch. I mean, an air-gapped, secure backup, and I'm sorry, tapes across the street or a terabyte drive in a closet counts. It counts.
Oh, it absolutely does if it works, if it's tested, right?
Yeah,
if there's a system around it. But you still dodged my point. If my stuff's on OneDrive or O365 or SharePoint, it's in the cloud and it's being backed up. So I don't really need to worry about that. And I don't really have anything I need to back up, honestly.
Well, I think the title company is the example of the bad guys can get to stuff. And by the way, if they can log into your email, they can start wiping stuff out. So you best be backing up cloud. I know whole businesses are in the cloud now. So let's start talking seriously about backing up my stuff that exists in the cloud. By the way,
a tape, right? Like put it across the street.
What we're doing is reverse backups. My business system's in the cloud. I'm going to back it up to my on-premise system.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what 100%. I tell clients or prospects is if you can get to your data, so can the bad guys. So don't tell me that because it's in the cloud or because it's on 365 or whatever they want to use as the excuse to not worry about this. Microsoft's got you covered. All right. Good luck calling them up and saying, hey, where's all my data? Yeah. You're going to get, Bill Gates going to come out of retirement. He's going to help you out personally. I promise.
The thing is, we talk about hackers doing stuff like this all the time, but sometimes it's employees. Sometimes it's us or employees. We see a lot of times we have to go back to a backup, not because they were ransomed, but because somebody deleted a folder or moved the folder somewhere and they don't know where they moved it to. But it's the employees and yourself that are sometimes, a problem. You're relying on QuickBooks Online to have your data on there, but what if you accidentally just deleted something? You can't just easily call QuickBooks and say, "Hey, can you go back to yesterday?" You need to rely on your own backups.
Well, there's accidental. There's also malicious. Employees sometimes will do this on the way out. It's criminal, and you can prosecute them, but that doesn't get your data back.
Yeah.
Brian, did you have something?
Justin, well, I was going to say you heard Mike and mine and Mario's top one thing. What's yours?
Oh, you're not going to let me off the hook, huh? No problem. Well, I'm gonna add to yours first. So I absolutely 100% believe in the end user awareness training, but I add culture and gamification to that. If you don't have a culture around it that starts at the very top, the CEO, the executives, if they are not involved in the training, then you're not going to get anywhere with it. And then if you really want buy-in in the trenches, you better find a way to make it fun and rewarding. Otherwise, like I've said several times, you're just sending out an email to take this test, click this link, and you're basically just spamming your employees. So don't do that. But to answer your question, so mine, I absolutely believe in a POAM. And you guys talked, I think it was before we started recording, but where we had the insurance agent on here and, that daddy's getting a new boat email versus the daddy's not getting a new boat email from the attorney. If you have a plan of action and milestones, you're not getting sued, or at least you're going to drastically mitigate the damages. But if you don't, if you show up in court and you say, "No worries, my IT guy has me covered," guess what? You're fucked. So
that's an understatement.
I highly recommend documentation. And Mike, you brought it up earlier, documentation and how to do the restore, how to, where are all the pieces, what has to be done and in what order. And then you better have risk assessments and gap management. If you can't identify where your weaknesses are and what your plan is to fill those gaps, you're screwed. And by the way, if you think you don't have gaps, the bad guys love you. Keep doing that. Keep trying that strategy because everybody does. There's like I said before, 175,000. What was the number again, Mike? 153 in
153
in CIS version 8. But there's different frameworks. There's so many different controls out there. You better know which controls apply to you, to your business, to your goals, to your industry, and then you better know where your weaknesses are and what your plan is to fill those gaps. That's my very short-winded answer to your question, Brian. I know.
Yeah, and by the way, I just read an article and shared it with my team that the biggest threat, basically saying the biggest threat in cybersecurity right now is apathy. And I think that's what you're just saying is, we get to a place of complacency. It's like, man, we're pretty good. And that's when the trouble starts. The human error occurs, etc. Apathy or complacency.
There's your mic drop moment. Yeah. Mic drop moment, Mike, because you said before we started recording, when we have those mic drop moments, that was it. Apathy. I marked it. I'm chopping it up. I'm throwing it out on social media because that is absolutely, I think, our biggest pitfall. All right, Brian, did I cut you off? I think you were trying to say something.
I was going to basically just say, like if you go to sleep at the wheel, the criminals don't stop. They're going to wait for you to fall asleep at the wheel, and they're going to come after you then, right? So they never stop. They're always innovating. We have to always innovate.
And how does that happen? I mean, my phrase I love to use is technology marches on. We're all in this business. We're learning new things, implementing new things every 6 months to a year. Well, AI, the new thing, and we know this in social media, right? Social engineering is, and my sales rep will go to Copilot and search on a person. We're no longer going to LinkedIn and Facebook and the website. It's like, just go to Copilot, tell me about this person. Guess what? The bad guys are doing that too. Oh, yeah. And I always say, picture an office building like downtown in your city, 100 to 150 people in there. and their full-time job is to go after the money. Where's the money? It's in America. Where's the easiest place to get it? In a small business that's poorly protected. If I run into Mario, that company that has two-factor on everything, it's like, this is a nightmare. I'm going to go find somebody else. So office building, 100 to 150 people. And when they ring one up, they ring the bell literally and celebrate. They are in a business and they're making lots of money.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, I know I've got enough to chew on, so we're gonna wind this thing down, and we already went around the room and we mentioned our top control, our top area of focus for cybersecurity, and we'll go one more time. And if you've said what you need to say, great. If there's anything else that you feel that and talk to me. I'm a business owner. I'm sitting here. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed, and I don't know that. I like your word apathy, Mike, but I think paralysis by analysis falls into this too. I'm so overwhelmed with what I do all day, every day. I just don't have time to do this. So put yourself in those shoes and give your absolute best advice. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap up for the week. Bryan, you go first.
Okay. Well, my biggest takeaway actually isn't get started, surprisingly, because normally that is it. My biggest takeaway is have someone that you can call. So Mike mentioned that he was able to recover a business of 150 plus people because he had people he can call on and bring them into the fold when shit hit the fan. So I would say if you're a small business, partner up with somebody who will be there in your corner when shit hits the fan. And if you're another MSP, partner up with other MSPs and other organizations who will be there when shit hits the fan, right? Be part of the community, be part of the people who you have a circle that you can surround yourself with, and just that would be it. Just have somebody in your corner.
I love it, Mario.
Part of me wants to say get 1% better. The fact that he didn't do it today. Honestly, I agree with Bryan, but my key takeaway is that you have to have that checklist, no matter if it's for a full, NIST compliance 153 settings, or at least have something in place, because coming from a long time ago, me as a one-man shop, kind of just doing everything myself, that checklist was in my head. And you know what? There's days where I didn't get enough sleep, or I was tired, or whatever, fought with my wife, and I don't remember everything. But having it on paper, or on an Excel sheet or something, and going through it and making sure that everybody is taking care of what they're supposed to do, makes your job a lot easier, especially when shit hits the fan. So have everything documented, go through that checklist, check it twice, check it 3 times, and make sure everybody else is following your lead and lead by an example.
I think I heard you wrong, but I'm pretty sure you said you fought with your wife. Wow. I've never heard of that before. I don't think that happens. You better check into that. Mike, what do you got for us?
So, I'm going to say, as a small business owner, and we each are small business owners, and if you're a small business owner or a business owner listening to this, maybe a CFO, COO, finance responsible, who owns the risk? Because I think the number one thing a business owner does is manages risk, financial, physical, technological. And you own the risk. We know this. We lose sleep at night over risk. And the technological risk, let's be clear, you as the business owner, you own the risk. Your tech company, your IT person is a steward of the risk. So it's up to you. And I get it, because my insurance company wants to always sell me more insurance. Seriously? I need to manage risk with more money? And that prerogative is on you as a business owner. And I would implore you to, yes, get an assessment of some sort to understand your technology risk, and then accept that level of risk where you're at. I said before, technology marches on. What you were doing a year or two ago, the bad guys are getting smarter. So take a look at your risk and make sure you understand it because you own it.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I mean, it is the truth. Whatever our goal is as a business owner, that is the baggage that comes with it, is the risk piece that we are constantly trying to manage. So I'll wrap up with mine, and I'm just going to keep saying the same thing. Know your blind spots. Get a third party assessment. If you're doing it in house, please, for the love of all things holy, get somebody else to put their eyes on it. And Mike, you said it earlier. Hope they show you something you don't know. Right? We can't fix things we don't know about. So understand your risk, know your risk, have a plan in place to mitigate that. So, guys, final reminder, visit unhacked.live for today's show notes and all the show notes and transcripts and links and guest profiles. Mike, you'll have a profile up on our website there. Subscribe so you can listen every week, and share this. Tell if you've got some other business owners, associations you belong to, let them know, because we've talked about culture, we've talked about awareness. We have to be this has to be what we do. Just throw it in while you're driving to work or while you're out on a jog on the treadmill, whatever. Make sure this is always what's on your mind. That's it for this week, guys. This week's episode of Unhacked. It's a wrap. Let's say our goodbyes. Bryan.
Get 1% better. Start your journey.
There we go. There it is. Mario.
Guys, we can't unhack you. Lock down your shit.
Michael.
Be paranoid. Be vigilant.
Ooh. I love it. Be paranoid. Be vigilant. And I am Justin. Remember, listen in, take action, and keep your businesses unhacked. See you next week, guys.